Blood drips from Admiral Helena Chen's palm as she crushes the ceremonial crystal goblet during the toast, a diplomatic faux pas that silences the grand reception hall aboard the Confederation flagship Eternal Harmony. The blue liquid inside, some alien vintage meant to symbolize unity, splashes across the immaculate white tablecloth, spreading like a wound. "Apologies," Chen says, brushing crystalline shards from her scared palm. The blue-skinned Solari ambassador recoils, third eyelid flicking nervously across multifaceted eyes. On Earth, we have a different tradition when making solemn vows. It's 2157, and humanity's first official meeting with the Galactic Confederation, an alliance of 17 spacefaring species that dominate 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way, has just taken an unexpected turn. Medical drones hover forward, extending antiseptic appendages toward the human admiral. Chen waves them away with her bloodied hand, leaving crimson smears in the air. Through classified neural implants hidden beneath her regulation haircut, she receives tactical assessments of every species present. Evolutionary weaknesses, physiological vulnerabilities, and strategic intelligence her team has secretly compiled over months of preparation. "How primitive," whispers a thorny Palaxian delegate to its neighbor, not realizing human hearing can detect sounds well beyond the Confederation's standard range. The Supreme Chancellor, a towering, mantis-like aircraft whose chitinous exoskeleton gleams with embedded status jewels, steps forward. Standing 12 feet tall, he looms over the human delegation. Admiral Chen. The Chancellor's translator implant renders his clicks and whistles into crisp English. "Your species presents us with a fascinating contradiction. You claim to have achieved peace on your homeworld, yet our preliminary surveys indicate you maintain military capabilities far beyond defensive requirements. Perhaps you could explain this discrepancy." Chen steps to the center of the vast chamber. With a subtle hand gesture, she activates the holographic displays surrounding the diplomatic gathering. The air fills with images from Earth's bloody history, world wars, genocides, nuclear exchanges narrowly averted, climate catastrophes that nearly ended human civilization. "We've learned from our mistakes," Chen announces, her wounded hand now wrapped in a simple cloth bandage. "Humanity united not through enlightenment, but through fear of ourselves." The holograms shift to show Earth's unified defense forces, massive orbital platforms, and the gleaming ships of the United Earth Space Force. The images reveal only a fraction of humanity's true capabilities, carefully selected to demonstrate strength without revealing their technological edge. "We don't start wars," Chen explains, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carries to every corner of the vast chamber. The room's advanced acoustics amplify her words without diminishing their intensity. "But we finish them. Completely." As the translator implants relay her words, a ripple of discomfort passes through the gathering. Appendages shift nervously. Breathing apparatuses cycle more rapidly. The Xilari ambassador laughs nervously, mandibles clicking. Such dramatic declarations. Surely a species so recently achieved spaceflight can't imagine threatening established galactic powers. Only the ancient Voth delegate, a species so old they remember the dinosaurs of Earth, recognizes the cold truth behind Chen's words. The reptilian elder's eyes narrow, vertical pupils contracting to razor-thin slits. "I have observed many species in my lifetime," the Voth whispers to his aide, "but never one that bleeds deliberately at a peace conference." In the shadowed corners of the reception, watchful Voth eyes meet human ones in silent understanding. The galaxy has just changed irrevocably, though only 2 species present recognize it yet. Chen's neural implant vibrates with an encrypted message from Earth Command. "First impression delivered. Proceed to Phase 2. You're being watched. Dr. Okonkwo." The message flashes across his neural implant before vanishing without a trace, leaving only a phantom tingle at his occipital lobe. Dr. Elijah Okonkwo freezes momentarily, his fingers hovering above the translucent data terminal in the Grand Archives on Centauri Prime. 6 months into Earth's probationary Confederation membership, the xenanthropologist navigates the towering memory crystals that store 50,000 years of galactic history. Officially, he's researching cultural integration protocols. Unofficially, he's hunting for something far more dangerous. He continues scrolling through the data, maintaining a mask of scholarly indifference despite the warning. A Drakthul archivist passes by, scales rippling in a pattern that Okonkwo has learned indicates suspicion. The reptilian being's tail drags across the polished floor, its jeweled eyes lingering on the human a beat too long. In the gleaming towers of the Confederation capital, humans have become the latest fascination. Their adaptability in the crushing gravity wells of gas giant outposts, their inexplicable resistance to psychic manipulation, their bizarre ability to consume nearly any organic matter, all traits earning both admiration and unease among the 17-member species. Remarkable creatures, a passing Mithran scholar chittered to her colleague yesterday. Though one wonders how they advanced so quickly without self-destructing. If only you knew, Okonkwo had thought. His fingers tremble slightly as he accesses restricted historical records using decryption algorithms disguised as standard translation software. He's been building this database for months, one forbidden file at a time. The pattern emerges like a constellation. 23 species granted probationary status over 8 millennia. 12 mysteriously extinct within decades of showing technological or economic promise. The others hobbled by unfortunate conflicts with rogue elements. His breath catches when he sees the common denominator. Drakthul involvement in every case. Focused on something interesting, human. The voice, layered with subharmonics that make Okonkwo's teeth ache, comes from directly behind him. A senior Drakthul archivist towers over him, close enough that Okonkwo can smell the metallic tang of its breath. Cultural assimilation rates. Okonkwo replies smoothly, tapping a command that overlays innocuous data across his actual findings. Fascinating how some species adapt better than others. The Drakthul's forked tongue flickers. Indeed, some adapt, others don't. Across the Confederation, humans integrate with calculated precision. On the orbital shipyards of Proxima Centauri, human engineers marvel loudly at Confederation technology, while secretly identifying structural weaknesses. In the diplomatic enclaves of Ta City, human ambassadors negotiate colonial rights, while mapping hyperspace junction points for strategic advantage. On the Confederation Council orbital platform, Ambassador Linway faces the towering reptilian Drakthul delegate across the polished negotiation table. The Drakthul's scales flush crimson as he pounds a clawed fist, rattling ceremonial weapons mounted on nearby walls. The humans must be restricted further. Their colonial applications for 17 systems in 5 years. Their rapid reproduction rates. Their obsession with weapons development, disguised as defensive research. Unknown to the Council, back on Earth, Operation Hydra enters Phase 2. For every visible human colony, 3 stealth settlements are being established beyond Confederation sensors. For every military restriction, accepted with diplomatic smiles, hidden shipyards in the Orc cloud work at maximum capacity. Okonkwo's secure transmission to Earth contains just 2 words. Regulators confirmed. The confirmation of humanity's darkest suspicions. They are merely the latest species to be managed by the Confederation's enforcers. The response from Admiral Chen is equally brief. Maintain cover. Accelerate Prometheus. Beneath the oceans of Europa, antimatter production triples. In hardened bunkers on Mars, quantum targeting systems come online. Throughout human space, preparations intensify for a confrontation humanity has anticipated since their first detection of alien signals over a century ago. The probation period isn't a test of humanity's worthiness to join galactic civilization. It's a countdown to conflict. The memorial wall stretches across the entire plaza outside UN headquarters in New York. 30-foot-high obsidian panels etched with 12,487 names, the lost colonists of the Proxima, the Hawking, and the New Horizon. Rain streaks down the polished black surface, mimicking the tears on the faces gathered below. The ship's disappearance en route to humanity's first approved extrasolar settlement has transformed global mood from cautious optimism to simmering rage. News feeds capture the vigils held simultaneously in London, Beijing, New Delhi, and 200 other cities worldwide. Commander Sofia Rodriguez stands before the Earth Security Council, her uniform still bearing the Confederation insignia she'll soon discard. The gold-trimmed blue patch feels like a brand on her arm, a mark of naivety they can no longer afford. Display evidence file XR7, she commands. The holographic display engulfs the chamber, showing quantum-entangled data from stealth probes that defied Confederation detection. The footage is fragmented but unmistakable, the distinctive silhouette of a Drakthul warship, weapons ports glowing crimson moments before the human colony vessels disintegrate. The Drakthul warship Krektul fired on our colony vessels without warning, Rodriguez states, her voice steady despite having lost her brother on the Hawking. A muscle in her jaw twitches, the only visible sign of her grief. The Confederation's official report calling it a navigational accident was approved before investigators even arrived at the coordinates. The chamber erupts in outrage, military leaders demanding immediate retaliation. Admiral Chen, now gray-haired but no less formidable, silences them with a raised hand. The scars on her palm have faded to silver lines, a constant reminder of first contact. This is their pattern, Rodriguez continues, projecting historical data stolen by Okonkwo. The Drakthul provoke, then claim self-defense when retribution comes. The Confederation allows this regulating of species they deem too ambitious. Holographic displays show extinct civilizations, beautiful crystal cities of the Mithran reduced to radioactive craters, the orbital habitats of the Solari torn apart by gravitational weapons, the digital consciousness of the quantum collective erased by targeted viral attacks. All extinct after Drakthul provocations, Rodriguez concludes. "What do you recommend, Commander?" asks the Secretary General, though the room knows the answer. The question is merely formality. Earth decided its course hours ago, when the evidence was confirmed. They expect retaliation, a show of force. Rodriguez's eyes move to the tactical display where Confederation battle groups already maneuver toward human space. It's the justification they need for full-scale invasion. Instead, prompts Chen, we withdraw completely. Activate contingency Lazarus. 24 hours later, Earth's withdrawal announcement stuns the Confederation. Diplomatic missions evacuate with unprecedented speed. Trade agreements terminate without notice. Human ships vanish from Confederation space as if they never existed. Then comes the real message, transmitted simultaneously to every Confederation world, every outpost, every ship. Admiral Chen herself delivers what will become known as the Human Declaration, her scared hand raised in solemn oath. We now understand the game, she states, eyes burning with controlled fury. Know this, galaxy. Humanity will never again tolerate threats to our existence. Any species that brings conflict to us should expect one outcome, their complete extinction. No negotiations, no prisoners, no mercy. In the Confederation Council, nervous laughter follows the transmission. Primitive revenge fantasies. The Drakthul ambassador hisses to appreciative chuckles. Only the ancient Voth delegate remains silent, quietly beginning to liquidate investments in Drakthul territories. When questioned about this financial decision, the reptilian elder simply replies, "They showed us their blood at first contact. Now they've shown us their teeth." Throughout human space, civilian evacuations accelerate as military installations activate protocols developed decades before first contact. The trap is set. The bait is offered. Humanity waits. High General Kivex of the Drakthul Dominion watches the holographic battle plan with satisfaction, his clawed finger tracing the invasion vectors. The command chamber aboard the dreadnought Sovereign Claw hums with activity as officers prepare for what history texts will record as a minor subjugation exercise. Display human defensive capabilities. KVEX orders, scales rippling with anticipation. 6 months after the humans' theatrical withdrawal, the subjugation fleet, 86 warships carrying enough firepower to glass a planet, prepares to enter the Sol system. The tactical display shows Earth's defenses as the Confederation understands them. A handful of orbital platforms, primitive kinetic weapons, and limited FTL capability. Primitive FTL technology. Minimal orbital defenses. No allies. His intelligence officer recites from Confederation reports. The junior Drakthol's voice contains the ritualistic contempt reserved for lesser species. Standard subjugation timeline. 3 days until surrender. The Confederation will thank us for eliminating this potential disruption. KVEX muses. Begin the approach. The fleet exits hyperspace near Neptune's orbit, expecting minimal resistance. The sensor officer's confused hiss is the first indication something is wrong. General, Mercury is different. The barren rock, once catalogued by Confederation surveys, now bristles with massive energy collectors, feeding a planetary-scale particle accelerator. Venus, its toxic atmosphere now hosts a floating fortress platforms linked by energy webs. Mars, transformed into a fortress world with cannon arrays visible from orbit. The asteroid belt, a lethal maze of stealth nuclear platforms and gravitational mines. Impossible. KVEX snarls. These installations would take decades to construct. The lieutenant's panicked voice cuts through the confusion. Multiple targeting locks, energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Aboard the Earth Defense Command Center deep under the Mariana Trench, Admiral Chen watches the Drakthol fleet's approach on displays lining the cathedral-like war room. Hundreds of officers monitor stations in disciplined silence, the culmination of generations of preparation playing out exactly as simulated. Operation Leonidas is authorized, she states, voice calm despite the historical weight of the moment. Weapons free. The battle unfolds in horrifying elegance. Quantum-entangled missiles launched years earlier from secret installations activate behind the Drakthol fleet, cutting off retreat. The Jupiter Defense Ring, disguised as research stations during Confederation inspections, powers up, its gravity weapons tearing apart 30 Drakthol dreadnoughts in the first salvo. High General KVEX watches his mighty fleet disintegrate, ship after ship lost to weapons that shouldn't exist, defenses that shouldn't be possible. The tactical display becomes a cemetery of red indicators as Drakthol vessels are systematically erased from existence. How? He hisses as his flagship shudders under impossible bombardment. They're primitives. They showed us nothing of this capability. The final communication from Earth comes from Commander Rodriguez herself. We showed you exactly what we wanted you to see. 14 hours after the invasion begins, a single Drakthol vessel, the scout ship Whispered Shadow, is permitted to limp away, its engines damaged just enough to ensure a slow journey home. Its data cores are intact but locked, programmed to release footage of the annihilation to the entire Confederation, along with a repeating broadcast of the Human Declaration. In an emergency Confederation Council session, the recording of the battle plays on endless loop. The Drakthol ambassador's scales have paled to sickly white. Impossible, he whispers, watching his species' mighty fleet reduced to debris. Technologies the Confederation had believed were centuries beyond human capability. The ancient Voth delegate rises slowly. They warned us, he says simply. We chose not to listen. Across the chamber, 17 species that have never known true fear begin to understand it for the first time. The humans' defenses must be concentrated in their home system. Supreme War Leader Miraf declares to the Emergency War Council on the Drakthol homeworld of Drakkar. His ancestral sash, bearing the scales of 1,000 conquered enemies, seems to weigh heavier today. The council chamber's walls display real-time tactical data from across Confederation space. The humiliating defeat at Sol burns like acid in the collective consciousness of the Drakthul military caste. We underestimated their preparedness once. Amrath continues, claws clicking against the strategic display. We will not do so again. Their outlying colonies will fall easily. They cannot have fortified every system to the level of Sol. The Confederation, fearful after the Sol system disaster, reluctantly supports the Drakthul offensive, contained the human threat the Arkath Chancellor had authorized, by any means necessary. A coordinated assault launches against known human settlements in 7 star systems, overwhelming force meant to crush human resistance and force Earth's surrender. Armadas larger than the one destroyed at Sol emerge from hyperspace at precisely coordinated moments. The first strike hits Alpha Centauri's human research outpost. The massive Drakthul warships materialize from hyperspace, weapons hot, only to find the research station abandoned. Before they can report back, quantum-shifted missiles emerge from subspace pockets where they've waited for decades. Identical scenarios play out across all 7 systems. The attacking forces encounter minimal resistance at the targets, only to be ambushed by concealed human battle stations that shouldn't couldn't exist, according to everything the Confederation understood about human technological development. On Earth, Admiral Chen watches the simultaneous battles unfold on the strategic display that dominates the war room. Her scarred hand hovers over the glowing command console. Casualty reports from Drakthul attacks. She asks. 0, Admiral, reports the operations officer. All colonial sites were evacuated according to Lazarus Protocol. Enemy fleets are engaging only automated defenses and dummy targets. Chen nods, satisfaction evident in her otherwise stoic expression. Activate the sleeper fleets, she orders. Execute Operation Carthage. Across 23 star systems, far more than the Confederation ever knew humans had reached, stealth installations power up. Hidden shipyards disgorge vessels built in secret. FTL drives engaging at speeds the Confederation believed impossible. Every hidden knife humanity had concealed during their probationary membership now unsheathed at once. The counterattack targets Drakthul systems exclusively. Human vessels materialize without warning above 17 Drakthul worlds. But the expected planetary bombardment never comes. Instead, pinpoint strikes eliminate military installations, command centers, weapons factories, and leadership compounds. Civilian populations watch in bewilderment as their defense systems, but only their defense systems, are systematically erased. Aboard the Drakthul capital world, Supreme War Leader Amrath receives reports of total military collapse across their empire. Enemy vessels appear and disappear too quickly for effective response. Precision strikes neutralize command structures before orders can be transmitted. Impossible, he gasps, watching real-time footage of their primary shipyards disintegrating. How long have they been planning this? A holographic projection of Admiral Chen appears before him, a targeted transmission breaking through every security protocol. Since we detected your signals in 2029, she answers, 128 years ago. We knew someone was out there, and we knew what humanity would need to become to survive. The human campaign lasts exactly 3 days. When it ends, the Drakthul military, once the most feared force in the Confederation, has ceased to exist. Not a single civilian casualty reported. In the Confederation Council, the human ambassador returns for the first time since withdrawal. The Drakthul survive as a species, she announces. Their civilians are unharmed. Their extinction was not required, only the extinction of their threat. Remember this distinction, as it may not apply next time. The Confederation Grand Assembly Hall falls silent as Dr. Elijah Okonkwo approaches the central podium. The vast chamber, unchanged for 8 millennia, has never hosted a human speaker before. Representatives from 17 species watch with a mixture of fear, curiosity, and resentment. Once merely Earth's xenoanthropologist, Okonkwo now holds the fate of galactic civilization in the neural storage drives implanted at the base of his skull. Armed guards from 6 species surround him, ostensibly for protection, practically as hostages should any attempt be made to silence him. For 8,000 years, he begins, his voice steady despite the electrified tension filling the chamber. The Confederation has maintained the illusion of peaceful coexistence while engineering a very different reality. He activates the holographic projector embedded in the ancient podium. The evidence unfolds in devastating chronological order. Classified Confederation directives authorizing Drakthul regulation of promising species, records of deliberate biological warfare against civilizations showing rapid advancement, falsified historical accounts of natural disasters that were anything but natural. File access, prohibited, announces the automated system, security level, founder exclusive. Okonkwo smiles slightly. Override accepted, he counters, as hidden human algorithms bypass 8 millennia of security protocols in seconds. In the viewing galleries, representatives from the Volus, the Indrai, the Turellian Collective, and 8 other species watch with growing horror as they recognize their own civilizations' setbacks among the evidence, catastrophes they'd never suspected were orchestrated. The Mithran Plague of 4927, engineered by the Confederation Biosecurity Division, Okonkwo states, displaying genetic markers proving artificial origin. The Solari habitat collapse of 6382, sabotaged by authorized Drakthul operatives. The quantum collective's erasure in 7218, executed using backdoor access protocols provided by founding species intelligence services. The chamber erupts in shouts, accusations, and threats. Species that have coexisted peacefully for millennia now look at each other with new suspicion and hatred. The Drakthul were not villains, Okonkwo explains, surprising the assembly into silence again. They were tools, instruments of the Founding Five's policy of controlled advancement. The 5 oldest Confederation species, the ones who had established the interstellar government millennia ago, shift uncomfortably in their privileged central positions. Their representatives' expressions confirm what many had already begun to suspect. Admiral Chen steps forward, her dress uniform bearing no weapons, yet commanding the room's complete attention. "We didn't come here for vengeance," she announces. "We came to break the cycle." The Earth delegation presents Confederation species with a choice: maintain the old hierarchy or join a new alliance based on mutual security. The chamber erupts in chaotic debate. The deciding moment comes when Ambassador Lin Wei authorizes the release of previously hidden human technological advancements to potential allies. Holographic displays showcase miraculous medical technologies that reverse genetic damage the Volus had suffered for centuries, energy systems that could end resource scarcity for struggling worlds, terraforming techniques that could reclaim planets thought forever lost. "These were developed for our survival," Lin explains. "Now they can serve everyone's prosperity." One by one, 11 species formally withdraw from the Confederation to align with Earth. The ancient chambers, unchanged for millennia, echo with unprecedented declarations of independence. The Arkath Chancellor, representing the Founding Five, rises to his full intimidating height. "You cannot simply dismantle 8,000 years of stability." "We already have," Chen responds calmly. The Confederation Council is dissolved. The era of regulated development is over. As diplomats depart, the ancient Voth delegate approaches Chen privately. "I have lived 900 years," the wizened alien confides. "I never expected to see the great game ended in my lifetime." Chen's scared hand clenches slightly. "It was never a game to us." The Garden Dome atop New Geneva's diplomatic complex hosts the first summit of the nascent alliance. Earth flora transplanted to this neutral world creates a symbolic bridge between humanity and their new allies. Representatives from the 11 former Confederation species mingle with human delegates amid roses, cherry blossoms, and towering redwoods. Ambassador Thelos of the Volus approaches Admiral Chen, who stands alone watching the gathering. The crystalline being's translucent body refracts light in patterns that shift with their emotional state, currently displaying curious blues and greens. We've been analyzing your technological achievements. The Volus communicates through scintillating light patterns translated by nearby devices. The timeline doesn't make sense. You couldn't have developed quantum-shifted weapons, gravitational manipulation, and targeted subspace disruption in the 6 months between withdrawal and conflict. Chen's enigmatic smile is answer enough. With a subtle gesture, she summons Dr. Okonkwo and Commander Rodriguez to join them. Perhaps it's time our allies understood the full truth, she suggests. The summit chamber falls silent as Rodriguez activates a secure holographic display. The image shows Earth, 2029, still divided by nations, primitive by Confederation standards. The scene shifts to a remote Antarctic research station where scientists gather around a detection array. First confirmed detection of non-terrestrial signals, narrates Okonkwo. Not a public announcement as your history's recorded, but a classified discovery kept from Earth's general population. The holographic timeline accelerates, showing the formation of a secret global initiative transcending political boundaries. Gardan. While Earth maintained the appearance of division and technological stagnation, resources were diverted to hidden development centers. Theoretical physics breakthroughs purposely kept from publication. Weapons research disguised as energy exploration. We detected your transmissions 128 years before you found us, Rodriguez explains. We listened. We learned. We prepared. The assembled aliens watch in growing astonishment as the truth unfolds. Humanity had been preparing for first contact for over a century before the Confederation arrived. The public conflicts on Earth, the political divisions, the economic competitions, all carefully maintained theater while humanity unified in secret against potential cosmic threats. Operation Diaspora, Rodriguez continues, revealing the most closely guarded secret. 317 sleeper ships launched toward distant stars beyond Confederation territory, each carrying 20,000 humans in stasis, each with complete technological databases, each with standing orders to rebuild human civilization if Earth fell. Ambassador Lyrax of the Endrai, a telepathic species sensitive to emotional states, recoils. The depth of your fear, she whispers. The weight of preparation. Not just preparation, Chen corrects. Insurance. The hologram reveals the final element of humanity's contingency, codename Sedam-Misilon, a network of quantum-entangled devices placed within the cores of 14 stars throughout Confederation space during humanity's probationary period. A deadman switch that would trigger stellar collapses if Earth faced extinction. You would destroy entire systems, gasps the Torellian representative. Trillions of innocent lives. We would never have activated it, Rodriguez assures them. But potential enemies needed to know extinction has always been mutual in our calculations. The chamber remains silent for long moments as the allied species process this revelation. The human declaration wasn't bravado or posturing. It was the culmination of over a century of absolute commitment to species survival. We understand now, the ancient Voth delegate finally says. Your species' psychology, shaped by millennia, as both predator and prey on your evolutionary path, created this unique perspective. The capacity to simultaneously build and destroy, to create beauty while preparing for ultimate violence. The elderly reptilian's eyes meet Chen's. Humanity doesn't just fight wars. You become the war. The ceremonial chamber of the Mutual Defense Compact headquarters floats in orbit around a symbolically significant location, the reconstructed remains of one of the human colony ships destroyed in the conflict that had changed galactic civilization forever. 10 years after the Drakthul War, representatives from 32 spacefaring species gather to commemorate the Compact's founding. Admiral Helena Chen, her once black hair now completely silvered, walks with a slight limp from injuries sustained in the conflict. As elected security coordinator for the Compact, she passes between honor guards composed of former enemies, including rehabilitated Drakthul warriors standing alongside human marines. The chamber's transparent dome reveals the starscape beyond, no longer a frontier to be feared but a community to be cultivated. "We gather not to celebrate victory," she begins, addressing the assembled dignitaries and the trillions watching the transmission across inhabited space, but to recognize transformation. The massive viewscreen displays statistical evidence of the new order's impact, developing civilizations flourishing under compact protection, technological exchange accelerating advancement for all member species, conflicts resolved through mediation rather than military action. In a gesture unthinkable a decade earlier, Klax, the new Drak-Thul Prime Speaker, approaches the podium. His species, once the feared enforcers of the Confederation's calculated subjugation, now serves as the Compact's most dedicated peacekeepers. "We were weapons pointed by unseen hands," Klax acknowledges, scales shifting in patterns indicating deep remorse. "For the 23 species whose advancement we curtailed or ended, we can never atone fully. But we have found purpose in ensuring no emerging civilization ever faces such regulation again." The ceremony reaches its emotional peak when representatives from 3 newly contacted species are welcomed into compact protection. Civilizations that would have faced subjugation or extinction under the old order now guaranteed sovereignty and assistance. Commander Rodriguez, now a grandmother and heading the Compact's First Contact Division, escorts the awestruck representatives to the central days. "The galaxy is wider and wilder than the Confederation ever permitted it to be," she tells them, "and now it belongs to all sentient life equally." As the gathering concludes, the assembled dignitaries witness the unveiling of the Compact Charter's cornerstone principle, the modified human declaration now enshrined as galactic law. "Threaten any sentient species with extinction, and face that fate yourself." Later, in a private moment, Dr. Okonkwo, his body now partly cybernetic after injuries sustained retrieving crucial intelligence, joins Admiral Chen on an observation deck overlooking the vast fleet of compact vessels. "Did you ever imagine this outcome when you crushed that ceremonial goblet at first contact?" he asks. Chen's scared hand rests on the railing. "I hoped for something better than survival," she admits, "but prepared for much worse." A communication alert interrupts them, a distress signal from beyond the galaxy's edge. Unknown energy signatures. Possible first contact with something entirely new. "Will we ever deactivate SAMSON?" Okonkwo wonders, referring to the deadman switch still silently waiting in the cores of distant stars. Ken watches as the Compact Rapid Response Fleet, ships of human, Drak-Thul, Voth, and a dozen other designs, prepare to investigate together. "Perhaps our grandchildren will feel safe enough," she replies. "Until then, we remain what evolution made us, the species that smiles, creates art, explores science, and builds wonders, while never forgetting how to bare its teeth." Throughout the galaxy, a new understanding spreads among civilizations old and new. In humans, the galaxy had found something unique, a species whose capacity for violence was matched only by its desire for peace, whose instinct for survival had forged a path toward coexistence. The human declaration, born from existential dread, had become the cornerstone of a new age, not of conquest, but of guardianship.